What's up, everybody? Welcome into a breaking news edition of SSPN, Ethan. It feels like forever since we've had Spurs news, and we're going to take a little bit of a hiatus on the player previews this week because of it. Although one of the episodes will effectively be a player preview anyway, we got some news to break down, so we're going to talk about it, Ethan, and let's talk about the question that we made a video with a while back, talking about a certain point guard on the roster and how out of all the guys who'd been traded on the team, Ethan, you brought it up. You said, we haven't really seen much from him. And lo and behold, today, Adrian Wojnarowski tweets that the Spurs have waived point guard Cam Payne, and he's going to go try to play for a contender. Ethan, your suspicions were on, you brought that up first, and your suspicions were right on the money. So give me the floor, man. What are your thoughts on this?
We may have been first movers on this, Jude. I don't know if any other Spurs content creators are really talking about the possibility of him being waived, um, primarily because we actually needed a backup point guard. And in many ways, Cameron Payne fit the mold exactly what we were looking for. A veteran presence, a good locker room guy, someone that filled a need for us at that backup point guard spot. And some argued that he could even start over Trey Jones, but him being waived, it doesn't feel surprising to me with what we were kind of hearing from his camp and what was like the rumor mill was talking about was he
The
doesn't want to.
live stream.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be in San Antonio. He talked about his time in Phoenix, how he thinks he could have helped them, how he still thinks moving forward he can still help them. I don't know if he's actually able to re-sign with Phoenix. I don't know if that's a possibility because he was so recently traded. But who knows? This opens up an opportunity for him as a veteran to go play for a contending team and actually compete for a championship. So good for him. It sucks that he didn't really want to be in San Antonio, but at the same time, I completely understand where he's coming from. It's not exactly a great career move for him where he currently is. Maybe in like 2 years, it'd be perfect for him to be in this situation. But to right now, he feels like he can still contribute.
Yeah, and especially when you have that contract that was just
Yeah,
1 year, 6.7 million, that was a real easy move for the Spurs to
for
just
sure.
cut him, let him go.
Hmm.
Especially when you already have 3 point guards on the roster, and that's what I wanted to get into next, Ethan. We had some other positional news that we're going to break down in a different video, so I won't spoil that. But that leaves us with Trey Jones, Devonte Graham, and Blake Wesley, of course, at the point
Hmm.
guard position. And going back to the summer, we did mention how Devonte was kind of a part of that crew that was at Summer League. So you kind of wondered if that meant that, he might have a future. And, when you think about it, as much as I joked about the DWI stuff over the summer, what's another thing that we talked about earlier this offseason, Ethan, that kind of we realized in the Spurs Hall of Fame speech, Greg Popovich talked about how he took his, college coaching. I don't know what to say. What's the word? Basically
That.
like learning trip. That's what
Oh,
I'm trying to say. When he went to Kansas and UNC to learn from those two coaches to really kind of, mold him into what he's become today.
hmm.
Devonte Graham is a Kansas point guard from Bill Self. So as much as I joke about the DWI Devonte stuff, it makes sense that his personality
Yeah.
and all of the tenets and just as how he carries himself in the building as well, I'm sure is just very Spursian when you come from Kansas.
For
So
sure.
that was just something that popped in my mind, and it, when we talk about the off the court stuff with Cam, that probably was one of the reasons why the decision happened today the way it did. It just kind of makes sense that when it comes to the off the court fit, I think that Devontae's personality fit the Spurs much more than Cam's did, when it comes to this season and where the Spurs are at.
Yeah, Devonte Graham's personality and his relationship with the rest of the team, it is very reminiscent and weirdly mirrors Jay Rich when we brought him here. So I don't know if long term he wants to stay in San Antonio. I have no idea what he's feeling, but he at least has embraced this kind of mentor role. And he's not even that old. Like he fits in with these guys. Like they have a
Mm-hmm.
repertoire together. I think he's only 25 years old. So still like able to get better a little bit. And the gap talent wise between him and Cam Payne, not super vast. Like they're just different styles. Like Cam Payne is more of a old fashioned field general point guard that can create for himself from time to time, while Devonte Graham's more of a shooter. So
Yep.
it's really just pick your taste, if you say. But the more interesting thing is that it opens up opportunities in the rotation for other guys to get minutes at point guard. You
Yeah.
mentioned Blake Wesley, but also Jeremy Sohan, who we've mentioned from time to time, and even guys like Malachi Branham, who may just have maybe not play point guard, but have an increased responsibility as a primary ball handler coming off the bench.
Absolutely, Ethan. You stole my train of thought there
Mm,
completely.
I'm
While I was
sorry.
talking about no, you're good. I was just saying you were on the same track I was when it comes to Jeremy Sohan, and that potential being opened.
Hmm.
I think it just kind of leaves that backup point guard spot up for grabs when
Yeah.
it comes to training camp. I know I was just talking about how I felt like there's a reason they picked Devontae over Cam Payne, but I'm just talking about on the roster and off the court specifically when I was saying that.
Hmm.
Because if we're just being honest, as we've both mentioned on this channel before, if we had to pick who would be a better backup point guard objectively, if it's Cam Payne or Devontae, it's Cam
Yeah.
Payne, just
Yeah.
with his playoff experience. And even though he's not a crazy defender, I would still say he's a better defender than Devontae. With all of that being said, that's why the Spurs, they value when it comes to a player like Devontae, where especially in this season where it's not really they don't need him to be a superstar and the Spurs aren't contending this year, like
Hmm.
they're going to value that over God bless Cam Payne, but a dude who's going on Instagram looking a little, maybe under some substances,
Mm.
and you're free to do whatever you want. I'm not hating on it. I'm just saying for the Spurs, you know what I mean.
Hmm.
It's gonna, despite the DWI from Devontae, he's still not going on Instagram and doing
Yeah.
that. It just if you're a Spurs fan, I could sit here and talk about this at nauseum, but you understand, how that would not really fly under Pop
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
how much the Spurs value that off the court stuff. But more importantly, there's a competition for that backup point guard role for Blake Wesley. If he wants to take a jump, maybe they figure it's best that, that could be Jeremy Sohan, or like you said, Malachi as well showed off his combo guard skills really the past 2 seasons, even when he
Hmm.
was at Ohio State as well. It's just really open for opportunity. And when you think about all the other guys we brought on the roster, Ethan, I really feel like that bench is up for grabs, Ben. There's going to be so much competition,
Hmm.
and this only adds more to it.
Yeah, it's extremely exciting going into the training camps. The biggest question moving on from here, Jude, two guys have to be cut now or traded, depending on which way direction we want to go, at least off the active roster. So, will it be Devonte Graham? Will it be Reggie Bullock, Chetty Osman, even guys like Doug McDermott, who are kind of up there in age? Maybe he's questionable, depending on how the competition in there at that wing spot works out. Definitely interesting conversation that we're going to be having here in the next couple weeks.
Definitely. But I will say Cam Payne being cut, even though that is somebody who we potentially suspected,
Hmm.
um, it answers that question for us going into training camp. So there's
Yes.
one less question there, but it's definitely going to be a fierce competition for sure.
I forgot. We're
Go ahead.
probably only cutting one of those guys I mentioned because I feel like it's a pretty safe bet that Mr. Kem Birch will not be on the roster. Um,
Bro, if
assuming,
Kem makes the team, where
I mean, who knows? Maybe he will. Maybe they've seen something, Jude, that we just haven't, and they're not talking about it. But I doubt it. I mean, the
I
guy
I
barely
hope
showed up.
I hope Kem Birch makes the team and we still never see him.
Yeah,
Just so and they just don't mention him, but like he's on the roster
yeah,
and like we cut Shetty and he's just forever on the team, but like we
yeah.
act like he doesn't. No, I don't actually hope that happens, but that would be hilarious. If he stays on the team, I hope they just don't mention him because that would be really funny.
It would be. It would be.
But I think he's definitely going to be the one that's cut, which means it's probably going to be a competition there between Reggie Bullock, Shetty Osman, and Julian Champagny.
Oh, I like Champetti. I want him. I want him to stay. Let's see
I,
how
I
training camp
we
goes.
gave him a 4-year contract,
Yeah,
bro.
he's staying. He's staying.
I
That's that.
think I think it's going to be Shetty. As much as Shetty actually feels like a dude I've watched from afar that I'm like this guy could be a great Spurs role player just because he's from Europe, plays good defense, versatile, can shoot, right?
Yeah.
But I think if you have to weigh him and Reggie, I think I got to pick Reg. I just do. But maybe not. I'm going to trust the Spurs on that one. But
Yeah.
I think they gave Champagny that 4-year contract for a reason, and he's coming off his rookie season. They're going to cut one of those two instead of cutting him.
Yeah. This is honestly a rare moment in the NBA where training camp will actually really matter for these guys because there's
Yeah,
not like a clear cut decision here for anybody.
yeah, and it's also going to matter for the future of the team moving
Hmm.
forward and how we build around Wemby because they're going to find some stuff that they like and they don't like, and obviously that's going to happen in the regular season as well. But the framework, is going to be built in training camp for
Yes.
the future of this team under Victor.
Yes, sir. Campaign. You will be missed.
He is going to be in the conversation with our boy.
Al-Farouq Aminu.
No, he is a legend with Chandler Hutchinson.
I forgot about Chandler.
One of those who was
Yep.
with us but was never with us in a sense.
Yes. Rest in peace. You know what's weird? I just signed him in a
Goodbye, Cam
2K
Payne.
2K rebuild the other day.
Is he like?
It was
I didn't
one
mean
of
to
those I
press
was
that
telling you
twice.
about with the eras where I went back in time and
Oh
moved
yeah.
forward. And I was like, oh,
So
Chandler
you made him good, or was he?
No,
Was he like?
he just got a little better than in reality.
Yeah, he developed into like a nice 3-and-D guy.
It's like a 77 overall
That's what
rookie.
I
I'm like,
was
yeah,
thinking
it's solid,
exactly
solid.
right off the bench.
Yeah.
A nice 3. Anyways, yeah. So that I remember those days too.
Mhm.
Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button below if you enjoyed the content. And don't forget to give us a follow on Twitter as well at SSPN on YT, at Jude McLaren, and at Ethan_Quintero to stay updated with the show. We appreciate you guys. We'll catch you on the next one. We'll see y'all later.